the internet, so it's taking a minute. So we will be here in 1 second. And we are.
Well, yeah, we're live, right?
Live.
Welcome.
Go for it.
That's right. Welcome everyone to our series this year. We're so excited. We've got 4 leaders in the house. And we haven't seen Erica Courtney in a while, so it's great to see her as well because she's been serving our country, and we'll talk a little bit about her work as well. But it's great to see everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is probably one of my favorite things that I do, is really going to get together with this council and kind of talking about leadership and some of the principles that we together put in place, and based on really kind of talking, what are some critical pieces that we think as an organization will help others, especially in their leadership, right? And the ways and things that we kind of can, our wisdom, right? But being in business. So my name is Teresa Palacios Smith, and I'm Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer for Home Services of America and Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. And with us are part of our NDILC board that works with us in council, and also Desiree Patno, who is the president and CEO of the NAWRB. So it's exciting to have all of you join us. And today we're going to cover our principle number 3, and that is whatever the mind can conceive, it can achieve, right? And that principle, I think, is really leadership principle about what others, and the book that I'm going to share, we actually did this session. We did this whole routine last year where we talked about each principle and what it meant to us. And this year we thought we'd take a little different spin. And that spin would be to talk about maybe books that that resonated with us, or podcasts or movies that kind of highlighted this principle. And I've got several, and I'll kick us off with that. And then I'll hand it over to Tami, Erica, and then we'll end it with you, Desiree. But we can pipe in at any time. We're just going to make this conversational. So, for me, and I think one of the things that this principle, and I actually wrote in the magazine, that really helped me through college, because my dad was always one of those that would say, if you can dream it, if you can see it, and you work hard at it, you can make it happen. And this actually came out of the book. This is one of my favorite books, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich, right? That book is where this whole principle came out of. And what he did was he studied people. And he studied the wealthiest people in this country at the time. And he decided, let me look at what characteristics do they have that have helped them become the leaders that they are today, and also accumulate wealth. And also, what do they do so well, to see if they have anything in common, And this was a uniform idea that almost every single leader had within the book that Napoleon Hill created. So Think and Grow Rich, again, that was the book that I personally helped me through college. I found it and I thought, this is phenomenal how if I do these principles, it's really going to help me become the person that I want to be. At the time, I was in college, and the counselor that I went to school said that I should pursue a career as a maid, okay? And that was because, my family was Hispanic. I was growing up in Mississippi, and it just took me aback. And I did not do well in school at all. I struggled in school. And at the time, my mother was in the hospital, and I was struggling with her because I was in and out of hospitals. And so I was really a very bad student. And so finding this book really changed the trajectory of who I became. And look at me today. I feel very honored to be in the role that I'm in, based on the fact that I read something and said, okay, these principles are really going to guide me, and I'm going to do the things that are going to help me get into college. Because at the time I didn't have the scores to get into college. We did the ACTs, that's versus the SATs, but I didn't have the scores to get into college, so I can get into college and pursue my degree. And that's foot forward is really what led me to where I am today. So, I love this principle for that reason. And there's so many other books, and I don't want to talk about any others in case Tami or Erica have it, but I'll come back and circle back on another favorite book I have, and the principles that have taken so many people. If you look at, Harry Potter, the book that was created, and how the writer, how she realized she was turned down so many times, but she conceived this thought of this phenomenal life and book and put it into writing. And then she is now probably one of the, J.K. Rowling, one of the most famous, well-known authors in this country. So I'm going to pivot over to you, Tami. Tell me a little bit about what's your favorite book or podcast or anything that kind of relates to this principle.
Well, I'm going to tell you my favorite, but then I'm going to give you a couple other suggestions only because I think hopefully it'll help some people that are paying attention to this today. We've all heard, if you can believe it, you can achieve it. If you can dream it, you can do it. And I think that the key is that you have to know what you want. You have to know why you want it, and you have to know how bad you want it, because that'll tell you if you're on the right path and you're heading in that right direction for what it is that you really want. Because getting that picture in your mind really does make a difference. And so a couple of things that definitely help me is, when you have targets, tactics, and timelines, and you have that passion, that tenacity, just picturing whatever that goal is. So it's December 31st, 2022. Close your eyes and picture yourself crossing over that threshold, achieving whatever it is. Doesn't matter if that's getting into school, getting a job, or breaking a record, but it's just having that picture in your mind. And when you have that picture in your mind, and how do you feel about that? How do you feel when you see yourself cross over that threshold? How do you feel? You can hold on to that feeling, and it can definitely help you to keep going even when you don't believe in yourself. But Brene Brown, Dare to Lead, has so much on really getting that courage to stay believing in yourself and stay focused. And that has worked incredibly well, certainly for me. But this is a crazy book that is really short and sweet and really simple, and it's called Do the Work. And it's all about the resistance we actually all get in our own way. We have resistance inside us, and it keeps pushing us back. It keeps pushing us back so that we're willing to settle. It pushes us back so that if we're afraid, we don't jump through that fear. And this just helps get you out of that block. I really recommend it. It's so short and sweet to read, and it will really help no matter who it is. You're trying to get healthier. You're trying to accomplish something that you've never accomplished before. You're going after a new job. You're building a new business. It doesn't matter what it is, but there's something there. And this, for me, Desmond Tutu, and obviously it's Black History Month, so it probably doesn't hurt. But he wrote a book, Believe, and it's for anything spiritual, or even if you just want to read one page that just kind of keeps you going. I find that works really well.
Oh, Tami, and first of all, look at your library books of all the we talk about, and I have to congratulate you also for RIS Media, because I know that you made the Newsmakers cover, and that's really important as a leader. But the books that you have, and the fact that you that is one of your passions, and you learn so much from books, and you actually walk the talk. And I think that the principles, everything you just said, is so true, right? Thinking, believing, but also having I think the wisdom and also the capability of realizing it's just not going to happen. You actually have to work at it. If you believe it, it will, you've got it, but you can't just say, okay, if I believe it, dream it, oh, it's going to come up. You have to get to where to create the vision. But once you have that vision, right, you are able to create it. And Brene Brown, by the way, I think that she's on Netflix. I don't know if y'all know that. So if you want to watch a real quick story on Netflix about her, it's a great series. If you're, I always say what keeps me up at night, it's Netflix, right? And so with that, that's an opportunity that you can actually see the book and how some of the principles and how great her wisdom is. And I love that book too. So thank you, Tami, for sharing. And the other two books as well. I think those are great reads that I love. The Desmond Tutu, I Believe. I think that's a great, even the title, right, is perfect for what we're doing today. How about you, Erica? Tell us about where, what has touched you, or what's some books that resonate based on this leadership principle?
I think like most of the women on the call, we're pretty multifaceted. So I'll start a little with the professional, and then I'll go into like my military, and then just me as a person. So 2 books that resonated for me professionally, which carries over personally. There's a very simple book called The Art of the Start, and it's about entrepreneurship and just doing it. So it's past just envisioning. It's really kind of saying, this is what I want to do, but you're speaking to it. You're speaking to it out loud to other people. And that becomes a little bit of it makes it more of a reality that this is something that you're going to pursue. And to Tammy's point, then you're going to backwards plan. If I want to be here, what are all the things I need to do to get there? So now you're writing it. So you're seeing it, you're speaking it, and you're tangibly writing it, which I think are, really important. Another one professionally is called The Blue Ocean, and it's seeing something that others don't. So why compete in a red, bloody ocean when you can compete in a nice blue ocean with few sharks? So how do you find that space? And then when I think of military, I think of The Art of War by Sun Tzu. That applies to so much in life. Also, Colin Powell, he, amazing leader, brilliant writer, will be missed for sure. And then when I think personally, I've done a trip to India, and I got to travel around and hike in Tibetan refugee camps, which spurred my curiosity as to the Dalai Lama. So I love to just look at the Dalai Lama's teachings and what comes out of his brain to paper. And it reminds you to be grateful and to, see the world as you have a short period of time on this planet, and don't get hung up on the small things, and be grateful and give back.
What great. I mean, those are fantastic. And I'm not familiar with Blue Ocean. So obviously that's something that I'll definitely pick up. For me, obviously reading, everyone knows it's just not my thing. I fall asleep. I start and I immediately fall asleep, but I love Audible and I love Blinkist because it does give you a lot of that opportunity, to the point where now I find that if I like the book, I'll read it. Like I'll actually, I'm going to get on a flight and, and read this book. And Tami, you gave me that passion, because I realized after talking to you and how many books you read, I'm like, she's a woman, she's an amazing leader. She's a chairwoman, right, within her organization. I need to be more like her. So, and Erica as well, with all the work that you do. Now, Desiree, give us a little insight as to what you like, and what are some of the books that you have found, or podcasts or movies, whatever it is that you prefer.
Well, it's interesting because you've hit on a lot of the points that I was going to talk about too. And what an incredible cast we have. I mean, this council, if you think about it. And I look at you all as books. I look at all of you as training vehicles to learn from, if you think about it. So the book that I'm going to come up with is completely different. It's called The Wealth That Shaped Mitzi Perdue. Mitzi Perdue, yeah. And the reason I came up with her is very different, is because if you think about it, as most of the books we're talking about overcoming things, like Tami, you came up with, believe, dare to lead, do the work, and the resistance. And all these things have to do with whether you're starting out as a founder, or you're already successful, or you're already as a leader, what's that going through the pipeline. And, you're talking through all the different incredible things that, Erica, you talked about it as far as the different ways from the personal, from the military of Colin Powell, but also all the different things of leadership, of strength, of power, of intensity. I mean, the things that you've been on in your missions are incredible. And then, and to you, Teresa, I'm like you. I don't like to read, but I do like to see snippets. I do like to feel the experience. And if I can relate to what you just said, like Bren Brown, who's on Netflix, great. I'm going to go tune in to see her on Netflix while I'm working. I could be listening to her as she's talking to engage, because one of the things when I was a child, I had a real hard time listening to people. I'd be so fidgety, like how could they do something? So now I've mastered to be able to listen to people very well, versus them being just someone and sitting in the corner and not being able to talk. So my book is, again, How Wealth Shaped Mitzi Perdue. And the reason I want to bring that up is most people don't realize that Mitzi Perdue was from the Sheraton family. So she inherited the Sheraton wealth at 26 years old. Then she married, and in 1968, they sold the Sheraton company. So, okay, so then she married into the to the Purdue family, and he just died back in 2005, but he obviously the chicken king. Okay, so let's get real. She had two dynamic multi-billion-dollar companies that she was in part of. So I've had the pleasure to get to know her. She's part of one of our NDLC, our NRB 2021 Family Leader Office for family offices. And so if you think about her, she actually came out in the book and said, what about if I lose all my money? What happens if I if I end up on the street? What am I going to do? How am I going to take care of life? Well, her mission today at 80, riding a bus, riding a bus from Dallas to Houston on a bus. She said, I'm here to help human trafficking. So she's been working in the human trafficking space for the last 7 years. So because of her fear, if you think about it, of living on the street and being homeless, what that would be, and the homeless and being attacked all the time, she connected the two dots. And I just looked at her and I went, oh my God, how could you be the humbleness, the empathy of life to go through it? And the ideas with that, I really resonated with her is that she is so honored to have the communication, the platform to share what she's doing. So she's taken all the wealth from the family offices to help the human traffic to sell it, to give it back to make sure that we can provide these ecosystems of life. And that to me is so powerful. So, and my second book is every one of us are creating our own story for our own book. So we will have our own book in our own entity, whether it's the NDLC as a collective group. But the idea is that every one of us have this incredible leaders, our strength and our intensity, what we do. We could take Tami with her books, her leaders, what she's done with the company, what she's done with her personal life. We could go on. Erica, same thing, the intensity, what she's doing with being handpicked to do all these incredible things in the crisis of the world of the military and in personal life. And Teresa, what you've done within your own book of business and scaling Berkshire Hathaway. So the ideas, and we could go Rebecca Steele and Marsha Davies, and we go down the line, and Chitra, unfortunately, who's not with us right now, all of us are going through these struggles. And for me, that ability to say that we are creating our own book, and that book is going to be the story of collectively of who our experiences are and journey we've gone through. So I just want to put it out there.
You know what? I don't want to interrupt, but just for Mitzi, how cool is it that she literally jumped into her biggest fear? Like literally jumped into her biggest fear in order to make a change. Like that is just beyond courage.
Well, wow. I was gonna say, you think about how could you have a fear of losing money when you have how much? but you think about, there's a gentleman who lost $40 billion. You look at Mark Zuckerberg lost $24 billion. Yeah, he's got another $97 billion on the pipeline. But the point is that it doesn't matter how much you have, what you can turn your entire life to be and do. Unbelievable.
Well, and I think, with what you just said is so true, no matter what your fear is, and if you grew up without money, if you grew and then got it, right? Or if you grew up without food and then, that fear of jumping into it or thinking that you'll never have food or you'll never have, that you may go back to that is so normal. I mean, I hear people all the time that is part of, the makeup of what happens to them, because there's always that insecurity, right? What if that happens to me again? I never want to be without food. I never want to eat fish again. I mean, all these different things that people have, for example, that will happen. I think one of the things too, when you talk about this particular leadership and this particular principle and how it really impacts each and every one of us, how does it do, not outside of, the books that we've read or, podcasts that kind of cover this. I mean, there's one to me movie that resonates, that I think really kind of talks about this principle. And it is, the movie that is, oh my God, now I just forgot the name of it. I apologize. But it's about an Olympian, and Tami, you talked about this, and he actually broke his back. Okay. And recovered to the point where he won, in that sport, because he believed himself to be able to do that. So he believed that he could do that and envisioned it, but worked hard at developing. He was told he couldn't do the sport again, not because of the broken back, but that he couldn't walk, because he was able to walk, but he wasn't able to do the sport again. And he really envisioned himself healthy, envisioned himself running down the, the finish line, being number one. And he actually worked, in his gymnastics. I mean, he did it every single day, and then he worked at it too. And he actually achieved the gold medal in the Olympics. It's during the Winter Olympics, and it was an amazing story. So I think that is something that all of us have within us. And I'll find the movie. And again, while we talk, anybody else, Tami, I'll look for it in a second, that has that, favorite movie or favorite story of somebody that you knew actually put this principle into play and achieved.
Well, I'm a sucker for it, which is I probably even shouldn't bring it up, but I'm a sucker for B movies. So, it would be all the ones that tell a story, but that are B movies, like fight movies, obviously, Roadhouse, those kind of things, The American President, all that sort of stuff. But I saw a movie that I hadn't seen in a really long time because I was up in the middle of the night a few weeks ago, The Replacements. And these were people that when the football teams went on strike, that they came in and they replaced everybody on that team. And tomorrow was not promised for them. That was probably the biggest piece out of the puzzle. And one of my favorite things that Gene Hackman says at the end of that movie is that no matter when it is in your lifetime, greatness stays with you. And it is too true. If you can go back and focus on something that you really accomplished great in your life, and you can kind of go from that position of strength, that it makes you that much tougher and that much easier to stick with it. More people are afraid of success than and shy away from success than shy away from failure. They're not running away from failure and running towards success. They're running in the opposite direction and living on the sidelines. And so much of that is belief that they're getting in their own way. But if you get a project that you're passionate enough about, and you can remember a time that you were really successful, that you can see that picture in your mind. I've mentioned that I'm going towards becoming a master in Taekwondo, and I tested in December. And one of the things that I did really well on the test was breaking. I broke 10 1-inch boards. I broke a bunch of cinder blocks, and it was a perfect break. And that doesn't happen very often. So often you've got to go back through everything all over again. But I can picture that in my mind every time I don't want to go in. I don't have the stamina. I don't have the energy. I don't want to do it again. My hair hurts. I don't want to try it again. I can push myself through that because I can close my eyes and I can picture that perfect storm, that perfect picture. And all of us have moments that we had that there was something that was a great day, you owned it. That was a great moment, you owned it. And if you can go back to that, you'll just keep catapulting yourself from a position of strength.
God, that's such great advice, and so true, because also it's not only you, and I think that's part of it, but it's also, sometimes your closest friends, will talk you out of things like, that you want to do. You see it time and time again. And, oh, you sure you want to do that? You got such a great, what you're doing now is so great. Why do you want to get outside of that? I don't think that's going to work. I mean, sometimes it's even your family members, right, that will talk you out of things that you can do, that you believe, right? That leadership, that you conceive it, that you believe it, but then others will kind of, tear you down and say, no, that's not going to happen. If you look at Sarah Blakely here in Atlanta, I will share with her, I've met her a couple times, and she is the founder of Spanx. Okay. And, if you look at her story, and she shares the story about how she conceived the idea of Spanx. At the time, it was because she sold copiers. Okay. She sold copiers and she wore pants. And one day she wore pants. She saw that under the white pants that she wore, you could see her underwear. And she's like, I don't really like that, because she thought about pantyhose and put them under, but they were too hot. And she's like, and they didn't hold her stomach in, and her underwear, the line shown. And she's like, there's got to be a way to create underwear that actually works, right, for women. She found out that all undergarments for women were made by men, not women. Okay. Number one.
That explains a lot.
Right? They were made by, at the time, men made undergarments. Nobody had created undergarments by women. And so in the pantyhose line. And so she thought, no wonder they don't understand our figure, our body, what we are insecure about. So she envisioned what she created, and then she went to thousands of manufacturers and nobody would do the design for her. And she's like, I know this isn't going to happen. I believe in it. I know I can create it. Just give me the chance. And somebody did. And that's how Spanx got started. And look at her today. I know she was on the show where, she was able to get funding, right? And then that catapulted her. And then she was on Oprah's Favorite Things. So this is her story of how she believed there was something better she could do, but nobody else believed in her. And even her friends were saying, I don't know, here. And then she actually created, a dynasty, right? Where today every shapewear copies that, right? Because you see all these other designs that now you see at stores, but she was the first to create the design to form fit our bodies based on the fact that there was a flaw that she wanted to fix in herself. And so anyone else that would love to share.
Yeah. So real quick. So she actually did continue on she cut off the nylons because she didn't want the nylons to show. But the thing is that she just recently sold her company, I think a year ago, because she wanted to scale it. And so another company came in. She's still the director. She's still running the whole thing.
Still the president, CEO.
Exactly. But she now has additional funding to expand, and you see all the different things that she's going into. So an incredible story, incredible woman. And yeah, she's so humble in what she's done to give all her employees massive gifts. And you're part of my team. You've been through all this stuff. So she gives
$10,000 bonus this year, right? Yeah. For all of those women or all of the employees that work with her to, provide, because of the support, even through COVID and all that work. I mean, I think that she's an amazing story,
I'd like to bring up Lindsey Vonn, the Olympic skier. She is someone that, as a sport enthusiast and played water polo, played all the different sports, basketball, you name it, and playing the only girl playing water polo. But I was just looking at her stats: 82 World Cups, 20 World Cup titles, 3 Olympic medals, 7 World championships, and her whole body has been reassembled how many times? I mean, seeing those massive wipeouts, and her whole legs and back and neck and arms and fingers and everything, and the amount of surgeries she had. And she just said every day, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to keep going back. And finally she had to retire. But her entire body has been just manipulated in so many different ways and reconstructed and put back. But that physical stage that we're seeing her on, just to even look at her going down the speeds of skiing, I'm just like, not going to happen. I can't even walk that fast. And that to me shows someone who's putting the paces to the physical endurance, the mental strain that we don't understand how many times she's had to bear the elements and witness the physical pain to keep getting up and up. And she finally retired, but she's 40, I think. And that to me is an example of someone who goes those paces. And I'm sure Tami, you haven't gone through all the surgery she's had, but just looking at your hands and to say that you could have that perfect, right, to go through and all that stuff is huge, because sometimes it's not just the physical aspect of that we believe, it's the mental aspect of overcoming the obstacles of layers of complexity of logistics that can actually overcome and take us apart versus then continue our path. Right. And so those are things I believe in, that the purpose of believe is so strong that we see the physical pain, but we don't see and get over that, but we don't see the believe of the mental pain that we have to go through because it's something we can't obtainably see.
You know what? I think first of all, mindset is 4 times as important as the activities you do, right? Where your headspace is so important. But how many times, you think about Sarah Blakely, like talk about courage and she did it. How many times, and that's for everybody that's paying attention to this too, how many times have you gotten an idea and you didn't roll with it? You got this great idea and thought, oh my gosh, that would be such a great thing to launch. That would be such a great idea. Everybody needs this. Everybody could use this. I remember my girlfriend, since we were 12 years old, she thought of disposable bibs before they actually ever came out. She didn't launch it. And, none of us should say, I wish I had, but you have to be passionate enough about it to give yourself that 30 seconds of courage that's going to make you walk through the door, that's going to make you ask for the order, or that's going to make you just literally sit down and create. Give yourself that opportunity to just really focus on what it is you want and why you want it and how bad you want it. And then that 30 seconds of courage, and you'll be able to go through. And you can't go backwards. Once you have opened your mind further, you can't backtrack from that. So that helps you to accomplish the next thing and the next thing and the next thing.
I totally agree. And when you said courage and what you do in your sport, and I know I'm probably not relating well to the sport, so I apologize but Bruce Lee is somebody to me that I think about, and I love the movie, right? So I love movies. That is one of my all-found, favorites. The Bruce Lee story about how he had brought the sport to this country, how he was banned from doing it because it was such a culturally taboo to bring and to expose something from his country to the U.S., but he wanted everyone to learn, right? The sport, and then how he overcame the back injury and everything. I mean, it's just, to me, that story is amazing, and the spirits and all the different things that haunted him, right? But also the courage that he had to recover and then to go back and dominate in that sport. And now, the sport is in every, in some aspect in this country, right? As women, as they protect themselves, as they learn. I mean, giving women the right to be able to do that, because at one time women weren't even allowed to learn, right? The different forms of karate and the different forms. And again, apologize if I don't know all the verbiage, but it was a taboo. And so he opened it up for everyone to have the right to defend themselves, and more importantly, to really feel confident and have the courage in themselves to do it. How about you, Erica, as we kind of wrap this call?
As pertaining to, there's so much going on, and I have all these jokes in my head about Spanx and how she was supported, but the actual physical support and the courage.
Oh, right,
30
right.
seconds of liquid courage.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just sort of thinking about, what Desiree was saying, and even Tami. Tami doesn't look a day past 20, but she is. The same thing with me. It's like our mind may still be in a place sometimes as if we're 25 when we were conquering the world in a different way. And a good friend of mine said, Erica, you can't work out the way you used to, because I was an animal. Because your body, it's different, your muscle mass is different, so you have to be cognizant of what stage you're at life as well. It's like, I can't go out and run 13 miles like I used to, or carry 100 pounds on my back, because I'll feel it for weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So having that awareness of where you're at in life, and modifying the way that you approach life and your routine. And I think that what's in our brains, we have so much more to give at this stage of life, but that physical piece, we don't want to hurt ourselves to where we're going to be feeling it the rest of our life. So I don't know, it's just different phases of life, and looking at how you need to modify your actions in a way that kind of fits the lifestyle.
Well,
that's tough advice to hear. Like, you're getting older, you can't do what you used to do. And I'm like, who tells me I can't do something? Watch this. Right. But then I can't walk for a week,
Well, it's like gymnastics or acrobatics that I did for years, or tap. I mean, tap I could still do pretty decently, but the acrobatics is a little like, okay, the lower back is not happening. What do you mean you can't bend like you used to and do the splits, all the time? But, I think would be shy, if you don't mind me asking, Teresa, to ask Erica, the intensity of what you just went through, the work that you did, the belief. I mean, talking about getting the refugees to come and believe in what we're doing, how to do that, I think is so resonant to the leadership incredible work that you do and continue to do on a daily basis. Is, I think that from bringing that to the table is so powerful, because what you do behind the scenes, people don't get to see, and they really don't get to hear it.
Yes, please do, because that is an incredible story. And the fact that you were called back, right? Even though, first of all, you just said, you know, you kind of retire your body from things that you used to could do, but your mind never retires. And I think that's so true. And the leadership that you showed, where you were, and if you can share with everyone the story about what you saw and what you witnessed, and the leadership it took, right, to help these women who don't believe in themselves, who don't always see the vision of the positive that we can see, that I think the promise that, in my opinion, this country offers, that they're finally going to be able to see it, right, as they move forward here in this country. Talk about that, Erica, a little bit.
Sure. So, for those on the call that don't know, I had the opportunity to work on shaping policy for Department of Defense, and Department of State had the same thing, Department of Homeland Security and USAID, and it was women, peace, and security. And what it boils down to is ensuring that you have a gender perspective in the way that you approach missions, policy, training, that you're looking out for the entire population, so you have better situational awareness and you can make better informed decisions. So, this mindset can be applicable to the outside world, absolutely, because a lot of times people will plan and they forget to include half the population. And then months or years later, they're like, holy smokes, how did we not see this? And it costs time, money, lives, potentially. So task force, Fort McCoy, we have task forces all over the country that responded to the Afghan situation when they left their country, fleeing the Taliban. So I got a call from a general that I knew, and she said, hey, I really need you to come here. She had been there about a month. I need your perspective, and I just need you to do, you're a doer. And I'm like, when you need me? She's like, tomorrow. And I'm like, okay, can you, of course. So I thought about it, and I thought, what a great opportunity for me to take everything that I've written to and that I've learned. And I went to Sweden and learned this whole gender advisor perspective, to really take that and implement it at a tactical level, like where the action is. So yeah, I ended up going to Fort McCoy, Wisconsin. We had 13,000 Afghan refugees. Essentially, there was more people on Fort McCoy than the two surrounding towns in Wisconsin. So imagine standing up a city with 13,000 people with limited resources from the outside versus like Texas or the Northeast, wherever some of those refugees went, they had a lot more outside support. So anyway, the military, took all of these people who were battered, bleeding, off these planes, and we had to house them, we had to feed them. We provided English classes, cultural integration classes, you name it. The education was there, recreational stuff, medical, dental. So, lickety split, all of this was stood up to manage people who came over. A lot of them, we were doing biometrics on them, trying to figure out who they are, what their birthdays are, tracking them. And when I got there, it was very apparent to me very quickly that, shocker, the voices of the women and children were not being heard, nor was the information that the military pushing to the population making it to the women and children. Because, in Afghanistan, there's so many cultural nuances. And there was a lot of male interpreters, and these females wouldn't talk to the male interpreters. There's just 1,000 things that I saw through my trained eye of a gender advisor, like, oh my gosh, what is going on here? And so I started attending classes with some of these women, and I was listening to their feedback. And very quickly, I was like, okay, we need to institute a plan for battered women and children who need a place to stay if the parents are going to the hospital having a baby. We need to fix the education. What we're pushing to them may not be what they're asking for. Everybody falls into this trap. We think we know what they want, and we push something, and we're not listening to what their needs are. So then I had the opportunity, because I worked directly for the general, to put together female engagement teams. And I had an amazing team of women, and we train them from the joint staff. You don't just put a bunch of women together and throw them out in the population. And my goal was to hit every single building and touch every single woman face to face and listen to what their grievances were. what their needs were. And within 2 days, I had some amazing majors that worked with me. We were doing data analytics, and I was able to say, here is the trends I'm finding within 2 days. This is how we need to respond. And we started responding to a ton of OBGYN issues, things as simple as bras or eyeliner that doesn't have lead in it that's poisoning the baby's blood, or, all these things that, were determined by just having conversations with a population and then tracking that and responding. And it was exhausting, sitting down with these women. But I'm telling you, go back to what Teresa was saying. We as Americans have it so good. And these women would give you their last juice that they got from the dining facility to make you feel welcome. And they were so grateful, but at the same time, they were suffering immense amounts of trauma. Half their families still in Afghanistan. A lot of women were bleeding for 4 months straight, miscarriages left and right. You name it, they were going through it. So anyway, within a short amount of time, I was able to use the position that I was put in. It's called a command action group. And assembled a team, and we all were working for a mission and a purpose and engaging in something very meaningful. And as a leader, understanding, I get this team that I didn't know, very quickly having to figure out, what do you like to do? What are your strengths? And plugging them in something that they would be passionate about as part of the overall team. And we were rock solid, well-oiled machine. And I'm just extremely proud of what came out of that. And we set the standard from all the task forces. I mean, I'm on calls with the other task forces, and they're just like, wow, a lot of us were suffering the same kinds of problems, but we were capturing it in such a way that, heaven forbid, crisis response on US soil happens like this again. And it may not be refugees, it's weather, it could be security, it could be pandemics, all these things the military is asked to do right now, that we have something to point to. We're creating the how-to book on this and pen to paper. So, we think of creation in terms of entrepreneurship, like Tami's talking, but I'm at the point where I think of creation like, I want to create structure. I want to create standard operating procedures. I want somebody in the future to be able to point to something on lessons learned and best practices. So at the beginning of a mission like this, they should have had a gender advisor immediately in with all of our male infantry counterparts that were there to say, hey, what do the contracts look like? Hey, what's our medical look like? Hey, what's supply look like? But that voice wasn't there. I got their midpoint. And because a voice like mine wasn't there, with the authority to create a team and interact with the population, there was a lot of missteps that could have been avoided. But the bottom line is I was given the authority to figure out what the issues were and respond to the issues. And, in the end, we felt like mission success. And I'm just grateful to have had that opportunity, but also grateful that we have opportunities here, and they know that, but they're walking into a world where a lot of them don't speak the language. The culture is so different, and they are going to have to work here, and it's a completely different world. So the real work starts now. Most of them went to Texas, California, and Virginia, and all over the country, and those communities need to do what they can to support them, because they supported us when we were overseas. So,
well, I love that, and and the fact that look at this council and look at what the leaders that are made up of, and the incredible work. And Tami, you brought up that you look at your strongest thing that you've done and look forward and give that strength. And I think, Erica, wow, you've got so many things behind you, but one incredible leadership skill set that you developed already through the work that you've done, but were able to put into action and also touch and change the lives and the trajectory of those individuals that are there. And even though it sounds like to me, like with the women that are there, because I see my mother that did not speak the language, came to this country, did not have a single relative here. My mom, Mercedes Lewis, came to this country from Colombia, didn't know my dad because they were in arranged marriage, and came here, okay, without, knowing anyone. And I'm a second generation. So the children of those individuals will have the give back of what their parents had to do in order to come here. And you're absolutely right. Giving back people take care of us when we're abroad, right? When we're there, when we're stationed there, we got to remember that as we pay tribute to those individuals that are here today that came, right, with the struggles and that are behind these, walls right now, but that will hope to be able to give opportunity with jobs and with skills in the future. We are running out of time. I can't believe. Oh, go ahead, Tami.
Let Tami
I just wanted to add something
Absolutely.
to Erica. First of all, obviously, thank you so much for your service.
Yes.
We just couldn't even thank you enough, or anybody else that serves. But I love in how polarized this planet is. You were focused on the solutions, and not just the solutions for where you were, but sharing those so that other people don't make the same mistakes. That literally sharing all that stuff that's working so that you can change the trajectory of those people's lives right away, instead of having to wait and discover it yourselves, because we don't have to make all the same mistakes ourselves. And I just love that you're 100% focused on the solution. That just makes a world of difference. I actually think that's what this council does, but wow, what a vivid story. Thank you.
It's absolutely eye-opening. I agree, Tami. And Desiree, you're going to say something else.
Yeah, I was going to say, please let have Tami finish off. But the idea is that what captivated me in that story, because, we've talked many times, Erica, about, but you made a comment that I didn't even think about, is they took care of us when we were there.
Yep.
That hit it. I mean,
Me too.
The emotion in my body is unbelievable because I never thought of it that way. Yet you were the one that could say that I would not be able to relate to that.
Yeah. I know, right? And all the across the country, all the world, we've got troops everywhere, and the people that we're visitors, right, in those countries, and the work they do. So, Erica, you're gonna cry, and you're gonna make me cry. So
I know. I'm just like I'm trying to keep my composure.
Okay, move on, ladies.
No, Erica, really, really,
you guys are amazing too.
How to tell you, really, honestly, I love this, because of the fact that you were leading, and we all lead, and we all learn from each other. And I'm just every time I have a conversation with any one of you, I learn something new, and I feel, gosh, I got to get better. Like you're my I'm always comparing myself to the best of the
Don't
best, right?
just
So,
be
you know what
you.
I mean? No, but you know what I mean? It's so true, because you look at that and you're like, oh wow, look at her and what she's doing. And that's what gives you the strength, right? And many times to move forward, because you're always looking at, I know I can do this. Erica was here doing that. Tami did that. Desiree was doing that. So as we wrap up, I want to thank our audience. We do want to make sure that we do recognize Black History Month this month, as well as it's Chinese New Year, start of a brand new year, right, for all of us. And as we continue, throughout each time, Desiree, tell us when our next show is for the audience, because we've got our next one coming up, and what the topic will be.
Absolutely. So it's going to, so thank you very much for the bottom of my heart. I know all of us are extremely busy, and Teresa, you got so many things coming up, and Tami and Erica just came back 3 days ago from this intensity you heard, and had to pull it out of her to get to it. So get my emotional back and say, so thank you all for your incredible time in here. So what's going to happen is that this is our third principal, and yes, we added 2 last year, so we can have a full principal every single month, and so we're up to 12. Our next one's going to be on March 3rd, and that's going to be, again, these are every Thursday. And so as I'm pulling it up right now, I apologize for the delay.
And while you look, I'm going to give you the quote, which I really liked.
Sure.
So believe in your ability to be successful in the things you have a passion for. These are God-given gifts to you. So use them. And I think a lot of times we underestimate those wonderful God-given gifts that really, if we have a thought, or that's God, right, giving you, whatever you believe, that is that God-given gift that you should use, because that's what our role is in this world. So Desiree.
Great saying. Thank you, Teresa. So next month is, and again, believe is the entire month. So every day you see something, you believe in what's going, please post about and share. This was all about the sharing the stories that you just heard. So next month is pass the torch, give opportunities to future generations of women. Your legacy will be the people you help along the journey, which is exactly what Erica just said. That entire story of life, of where she was there, she came back, she gave back, and it's going to go through their generations of the impact they give us. So thank you, everyone, as we all deal with the 20-some states that are dealing with the horrific weather right now, as we deal with life changes and the obstacles of going through it. Please be safe and stay healthy. And if anything we can do for you, we're all here to help you. So please reach out to any of us and we'll be here to help to create a better ecosystem of quality life. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, and everyone have a blessed day. So thank you. Have a good one. Thank you, Teresa.
Bye, everyone.
Everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody, for joining.